I go about 2 years and I want to say and I come na court, nothing. I use God to beg on a man and help on our people. We not feel that here. We say as all of us, we many for year, we many, some there 5 years, some where they just 10 years, then they here. I beg men and help, we need freedom.
All right, so those are Nigerians in prison in Mali calling for help. Some say they've been there for 10 years and all of that. So the conversation is going to go from the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have the woman who is in the know as far as all of these issues are concerned, the chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Madam, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
Good morning. Let's start from the heavy liftings before we get to other parts of the conversation. And I know that you had responded to this particular video, and I know I listened to you talking about, look, when you live in people's country, abide by the laws and all of that. But for the people that don't have the benefit of what they just saw, what exactly is playing out here, and how much intervention has the government come through for these ladies?
I didn't see the video.
Oh.
Maybe you can just tell me about it. I didn't see the video.
Okay, because we saw the video. Oh dear. Can you see the video now, madam?
Okay. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, what country is that?
Mali. The ladies in the prisons in Mali.
Okay, yeah.
So you can respond to it. My question was,
yes, for the situation in Mali, they're actually in prison for one offense or the other. But like I said, even in Mali, we brought back several Nigerians. I remember the last one we did, we got a C-130 plane, not the most comfortable plane to fly in, but we brought about 40 back. So those girls are actually in prison in Mali for one offense or the other. But I think we have about 70. But the Nigerian mission has been going to the prison to see how they can be released. But you see, they claim a crime was committed, so there are processes to get them out. They are different from those that you pick up on the streets for one reason or the other. So yes, the Nigerian embassy has been working on that. And then cases like this ones in Mali, in Libya, now are handled by the Office of the National Security Advisor, because there are serious security implications, particularly places like Mali, like Libya. But yes, the Nigerian embassy, I spoke to one or two of them, and the processes are on. But the thing is, they were locked up, they are in prison for one offense or the other, whether rightly or wrongly, but they're in prison for one offense or the other. So the Nigerian mission has been having conversations with the Malian authorities, and then once that is sorted, the Office of the National Security Advisor will find a way of getting planes to bring them back. But again, the message is still all the same. You know, we don't have to go to these countries and, you know, get into this kind of trouble. But we will as, I don't know. So like I said, I was offered by the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs itself. They're actually, you know, on this matter, but it's going to take some process.
Thank you for your time. And as Jeffrey said, we're going to start with the heavy lifting. So from Mali, I want to go to Dubai, Nigerians in the UAE. In September, about 400 of them were deported. I believe in July, a number of them were also deported. And there was also that video from a Nigerian complaining that the Nigerian embassy there is not quick to come to the aid of Nigerians in terms of defending, the rights of Nigerians against all forms of oppression. They were talking about work permits and all of that. Is there anything in bilateral agreements with countries where Nigerians are that can be invoked to defend the rights of Nigerians against harassment and unfair practices, particularly when the case is not one about irregular migration? And while you answer that, Ma, perhaps you would also want to speak to the reasons why those Nigerians were deported from the UAE.
Okay, for the UAE, don't forget that UAE gave almost 6 months, 1 year of grace to say if you don't have your documents, leave our country. And we also, told Nigerians that they offered free flights and said, we don't want illegal immigrants in our country. So those who wanted to seize the opportunity actually came back on those flights. And they made it clear that they're going to be very hard. And they want to clear their country of irregular migrants. And they made that very, very clear. That was before the issue of UAE and travel and all that. And so now what they're doing is actually rounding them up. If you don't have your documents, they keep them in a place and bring them back. Now, there are two categories that have been brought back from the UAE. Again, the Office of the National Security Advisor handles that because, again, there are security implications. Those that have been in prison and allowed to come back home. And those that they've rounded up and say, look, you just have to go back to your country. So another set, I think about 3 sets have returned, and more will be returning. They'll keep them, but what we tell them is, even while they're there, treat them with dignity and speed it up. So the next batch will be coming. Another 400 will be coming back because they've been rounded up without their documents. And they're not just Nigerians, they're irregular migrants. And they made it clear for over a year, even provided free food, free transportation, and said, if you don't have your documents, we don't want you in our country. So another set will be brought back, and they'll be brought back as regularly as they are getting. But there are a few cases of, I have my documents and they brought me back. 1 or 2 cases, at least we solved 2 of such cases where we realized that, well, the guy had irregular documentation. He was caught up in the wrong place, and they listened to the plea. But you know what? If they round you up because you don't have your documents and they have to bring you back, I don't know how much, intervention Nigeria can do in that regard. But what we say is that treat them with dignity. Bring them back on time. Because parents call or they can't hear from their relatives, and we get to know that, well, they've been locked up because, not locked up, they've been rounded up because they are there as irregular migrants. So again, is a matter that is handled by the Office of the National Security Advisor, because again, there's security implications. Some are actually serving their jail terms there, and when they come, their biometrics are taken and all that. So we hope we're working at ensuring that everybody is brought back. But at the same time, let's work at discouraging irregular migration. It's tougher out there now. It's very, very tough. Even for regular migrants, not talk of irregular migrants.
Let's make some progress on some of the efforts of the Commission, because at the end of the day, it's about ensuring Nigerians have their dignity and they are respected. So if you see an American citizen anywhere in the world, you meet an American citizen, you have to think twice before you do anything to that citizen, no matter who that citizen is. I don't think that's the case for us as Nigeria, and even for the African continent for most.
I have to cut you there. Yeah. All these comparisons, we have in Brazil prison, we have about 680 in one prison alone. I don't think you have 680 Americans in some prison. So let's stop these comparisons. I said the first thing is let's do the right things. But no matter what happens, I can tell you, I personally wrote a memo to President Buhari. We brought back 10,000 Nigerians from Libya detention
centers. You're looking at one side of the mirror.
And they're still going. No. So what I'm saying is that, yes, the welfare of Nigerians is paramount. As I speak with you, I've brought back, as I speak with you yesterday, another 12. We brought them back from Ghana. So we're doing that, but at the same time, we shouldn't encourage bad behavior. I remember that I was the first to say, let's treat them with dignity. So when you come back, we ensure you're received properly, you're treated at the airport, a lot of things going. But at the same time, when we make these comparisons, even in Dubai, I don't want to give you figures of the numbers in prisons, but whatever, they are Nigerians, they are our people. So we have to do everything to ensure they're protected, but we should not encourage bad behavior.
All right, you're not getting my point. You should have allowed me land first.
Names and numbers and figures.
If you can hear me.
Another country, we have 430.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, madam?
The highest.
Can you hear me, madam? You didn't allow me land on my thoughts. You were presuming maybe what I wanted to say, but you're not getting the point. Nobody's supporting bad behavior. I'm just talking about I'm talking about
but I also
simple dignity for the citizens.
I hear you intermittently.
Yes, simple dignity for our citizens, because we have states and countries around Europe and even around that have institutional racism, and we know how black people are treated and how Nigerians are treated. So my question was, or where I was going to with the question before you cut me off, was this: what is your institution or the commission doing to be more proactive than sometimes reactive, so that we can reposition our image as a country to the best of our ability? I know it's a long walk. I just want you to walk us through what you're doing proactively to make sure that, let's say in the next 10 years, the respect Nigerians have will be better than what it is today, no matter what the conditions are. That's my question.
Hear the last part of your question. Can you give me the last part, where you actually asked the question?
Okay. I was saying that, what can we do? What is your commission doing to be more proactive than reactive? So that at the end of the day, let's give ourselves 10 years, Nigerian image and dignity can be way more respected, no matter the situation, without supporting crime, so that we can be better positioned in the Committee of Nations. So walk us through what you're doing proactively to reposition us from the commission level.
First is awareness, working with people like you. Awareness that, you know, try, when you go to another person's country, just try to obey the laws of that country and not commit crime. But when you do, we're there for you. Take the case of India. Some Nigerians went on the streets, started fighting the policemen, and actually you heard the Nigerian on the streets of India said, I'm a vagabond, I suck blood, fighting Indian police. Then they take action, but you come to us and say, look, do whatever you can. So what proactiveness in that regard? Maybe you can answer that question. This just happened in India. You went on the street and said, I'm a vagabond, I suck blood. And actually the videos are there. So first thing is massive awareness. Let us respect ourselves. And, you know, carrying ourselves as who we are as Nigerians, with dignity. And I'm telling you something, if one Nigerian is doing that, I'll give you 10,000 that are doing great things. So I even tell them, don't judge us by that one or two persons that are behaving badly. So that is one thing. Two is we all have to work together. Don't encourage bad behavior. Secondly, raise awareness. You see, those places you are going to, if you got away with that 10 years ago, not anymore. The world is basically very, very hostile now. So that is what we do. And then we work with other agencies in terms of evacuation. You hear more of NITCOM, but it's not just us. So Office of the National Security Advisor has a multi-agency team, immigration, NEMA, prisons, so a multi-agency team, but all domiciled under the Office of the National Security Advisor. So when we hear, how do you know there's going to be a cry for help? When you have a cry for help, then you go ahead and ensure no matter what they did, get them back. Again, like I said, in this year alone, from January to September, over 5,000 Nigerians have been brought back up from Libya. And you say proactiveness. Are you going to stop people? Are you going to know even where they're going? So really, you also have a role to play. The media, let's work together to create this awareness. For a lot of times when they come back, they tell me, I regret I went. I didn't know is what we hear. So I think massive awareness, number one. Number two, if NITCOM is empowered to do more, we'll do it. You know, so we're asking for that, you know, more empowerment to be able to do, you know, more of this crisis situations and helping Nigerians in distress. But, you know, but as it goes on, the thing is, you know, you can't just, I can't tell you how many people have been locked up for drugs. Then they call me and say, come and take us out. How? For those, I'm sure you have cases of people who were able to bring out of prison for one reason or the other, where realized that they did not commit that crime, and we brought them back. In Benin Republic, there are many people who did not do anything wrong, but we're working at getting them back. So there are many cases you don't even hear on television or on social media. The ones you're talking about are the ones that just know they did something wrong, just go on television, make an appeal, and then whatever the case was still there for you anyway, because they are Nigerians. And we continue to do that. But to your question, massive awareness that, number one, don't be, you know, doing most of... There's a guy in Canada now, we're working on this case. We're going to get him out. working with Nigerians there. And then another thing is, a lot of Nigerians in these countries also work with us. When there are cases of Nigerians in distress, we all work together. You don't hear that in the media, but we do it.
Thank you. Perhaps you would have been more specific with, the deliberate actions taken by the Commission in terms of awareness about those who are doing fantastic things abroad, and what is being done also to create awareness about Nigerians who are into legitimate businesses and who do not engage in bad behavior. But granted, there is no excuse for bad behavior. But perhaps the point about Jeffrey's question is that other Nigerians have had to suffer indignities as a result of the bad conduct of others who impact on the image of the generality of Nigerians. I have suffered harassment, at a particular international airport, which I would not name, of another country. But back to the issues at home that are fueling this mass migration. Many would say that the administration of the former President Muhammadu Buhari set Nigeria back many years in terms of development, in terms of the disillusionment at home. And it's your government, the government led by the All Progressive Congress. Things have not particularly gotten better, even under this administration, with inflation reaching an all-time high. And in many sectors, Nigerians are losing professionals. These are the real issues that are fueling this mass exodus of Nigerians to other countries, where they are seeking greener pastures. And I'd like you to speak to that. Those are the realities that stare us in the face. So I'd like you to speak to that.
Okay, government has to do what it has to do. Provide infrastructure, security. Government does not provide jobs, but they make it possible for jobs to be created. That is the role of government. And government cannot shy away from that or run away from that. And government is a continuum. And I know that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing everything he can to ensure the welfare of Nigerians. Like he himself says, it may take a while, but it has to be done. There's no debate about that. The role of government is to protect the welfare of your people, provide infrastructure. That money is meant for the people, not to be stolen, and the government must tackle issues of corruption and ensure that those given the responsibility deliver. There's no debate about that. But here is the thing, and this is where awareness comes in. Some are looking for hope in hopelessness. So what's the point of, in some cases, look, I've dealt with people that had to, spend 2 million naira to go to Libya. So why don't you put that 2 million naira on something that you can do back home? And that is where there should be more, collective approach to all these things. I met a guy who sold his trailer. He was into trailer trucks, but he was told, it's so bad here, let me just go to Europe. He came back with nothing. So I'm not, saying that government should not do what it has to do. It is the role of government: security of lives and property, infrastructure, power, good roads. You see all those things. So, but that is no reason to go and die. And you know why that happens? Because they don't know. I counsel a lot of young girls. All these things are not in the media. And it's about when they come back, it's that, look, I wish I knew. I didn't know. So those migration is more of, oh, they promised me, but that promise is never fulfilled. So yes, government has to play its role, but also we have to play our role, which is what we try to do in Diaspora Commission. How much awareness? And then bad news travels fast. When you talk about Nigerians that are doing well, look, every time, even on my page, every day we are celebrating Nigerians in the diaspora. It doesn't trend. It's the bad news that trends. So I think there's a lot more to do in that regard, and I'm so proud of Nigerians everywhere in the world, and it's really something that we need to do a lot more on. But we also want to work with you because it's the bad news that you carry. If I tell you one Nigerian was doing great, and you see one Nigerian, so the bad news is the one that's
so where is the evidence?
It's just a natural media thing. So yes.
So where is the evidence that Nigeria under this current administration is providing infrastructure, is ensuring that the economy thrives, is providing opportunities for young people such that they can stay and build Nigeria? But do you see that evidence that there will be transformation in Nigeria within the next 1 year?
I believe there will be. let's give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu the chance, you know, and he's going to do everything he promised to do. It may be tough, it may be rough, but he has assured every one of us that he was elected to do this job. And no matter how tough and rough it is, he says he will ensure that his paramount interest is the welfare of Nigerians everywhere in the world.
Okay, we're still waiting for the promise of the president, because as far as we're concerned, we know he said this is going to be brutal, but it's getting even worse by the day, which is why Bukola is saying, look, this is the reason, which is why Bukola is, so just to reiterate what I said, I'm saying that we're waiting for those promises to come through as quickly as they should, because things are worse than they've been before. The leadership of Muhammadu Buhari got us here, and this is even worse right now. The president said he has to make those twin decisions, and it's going to be brutal, and Nigerians are waiting for how it will come to pass in terms of their welfare being better. That's the hope for everybody, but the reality right now is very tough. Anybody who wants to escape is looking for a way out, which is what is fueling all of this at the end of the day, which is why I want to piggyback on that question I asked. So let's talk about some of the efforts the Commission is making to see that we're looking for investments. We are asking foreigners to come and invest in our country, but the space we have here in our country is not favorable even to local investors. So what is your Commission doing? What are you selling as a Commission differently to say Nigeria is ripe for business, for you to come and do business at the end of the day? Because what we get most of the time are FPIs, not FDI, even though the president has said 30 billion came in dollars, which were not exactly accurate. But what is your Commission doing to ensure that you work with maybe the presidency to ensure that this FDI we seek to reposition the fortune in our country? Because that's the core of the issue. If people have jobs and their lives are better, they will not be jackpine.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I'm optimistic that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will fix this country. He has said it several, it's going to be tough, it's going to be rough, but I'm optimistic and I believe that he will do it. But you see, he's not going to do it alone. We all have to play our part. I have to play my part, you play your own part. Let everybody in one role or the other play their own part so that collectively we can, you know, join hands with him to make this country work. So your question is always so long. So the second part is about investments, right? Okay. Now, we're having a Diaspora Investment Summit as I speak. At least I can give you, I hope you can come and see people who have come in, traveled from all over the world to say, well, we want to look for areas of investment. We know we hear bad stories, but want to look for areas of investment, including foreigners. It's for Nigerians in the diaspora, but we also have foreigners. There's the gentleman there who has even taken over Nigeria. I mean, if you see him, he's American, he's coming, even bringing his family. And there are many who say they have done their DNA, they want to come to Nigeria, they want to invest in Nigeria. So our role is not to tell lies, but to provide the platform to make it happen. Where there are challenges, we work with NIPC, Ministry of Trade, to overcome those challenges. Now, we are targeting our own people in the diaspora. Nigerians in the diaspora. You are abroad, you're doing very well. What can you do here? Just 3 weeks ago, I was in Lagos to join in commissioning Caring Habitat, set up by a Nigerian abroad. He left everything in America. He was there for years to set up this first of its kind hospital in Nigeria. I can give you 10 of that. So they are coming, and they know there are challenges. I can tell you a quick story. There's a doctor who came, Louis Med. He came to Nigeria, decided to set up his hospital. The first operation, the very first operation, Professor Babigboye, so you can ask him, the lights went off. The generator packed up, brand new generator. Only God help him that he had finished that surgery. What if he hadn't? But guess what? He's been here for years now and setting up even another branch. So there are challenges, no doubt about that. You know, but we are saying that we are Nigerians. Let's see what we can do in our country. There's a lady who came from California. She has a restaurant in California. She's coming to Nigeria to see how she can, you know, work with farmers to send the produce abroad and export. So, you know, a cup is either half full or half empty. We want to get the best of our diaspora to work with us back home, to harness those talents and potentials that we have as Nigerians in the diaspora. And by doing that, in our little way, let's work at the challenges. In our little way, let's talk about our country, let's promote our country. And like I said, it's about a collective effort. If I do my bit, you do your bit, we all do our bit collectively, we can achieve a lot of results. So that's the essence of the summit, and day one went very well. Day 2, day 3, they are there. Come and see them. They came from all over the world to see areas of investment, and then we do pitching sessions. A gentleman pitched last year. He's got his business going. So, and a whole lot of that. So we are just doing our little bit to encourage Nigerians in the diaspora, not to pack their bags and come home, but to collaborate so that collectively we can work together.
There's so many areas to touch. Following up on those Nigerians who are returning home to invest, to be sure that indeed those investments are on ground. There's, you know, the Nigerian girls whom your commission helped to return home from Ghana. There's Nigerians in South Africa also, the challenge of xenophobic attack. We may just have to bring you back, Ma. But I'd like you to speak to this. A number of Nigerians were returned following the Russia attack on Ukraine. The war in Sudan also saw some Nigerians return home. We'd like you to provide an update on the current state of those Nigerians. What has happened to them? Have they been reintegrated? Have they started off a fresh life here? Or have they returned to Ukraine and Sudan as we wind down now?
For Sudan, nobody has returned to Sudan because the situation in Sudan hasn't gotten any better. But we're able to work with JAMB. And a lot of them, particularly those from Sudan, have been into universities here, but some still went to some other countries. But we got them together, made it possible for them. JAM, you know, kind of amended the rules to make it possible for those, particularly in the Sudan, to continue their studies. So that was that. For the Ukraine thing, yes, most of them were medical students. For a lot of them, they were told they had to start again. By the time the Medical and Dental Council kind of, you know, assessed them, they realized that the standard that they came home with was not commensurate with, you know, if you were in year 4 there, they told them here that you have to go back year 2 or year 1 or something. Some of them didn't like that, and they refused to start again. Some did, and they're almost done. Some went abroad. In fact, there's a university in Canada. What's the name now? They offered scholarship to about 100 of those medical students, and they're all doing well, and we're able to, I think somewhere in Dominican Republic, but based in Canada and all that. Also run by a Nigerian who offered scholarship to some of them. About 100 were able to benefit from that. Some still suffered from a lot of psychological trauma. There's a particular child and the mother, but I think it's getting better now. The trauma, he just couldn't get over it. Up till about last year, he looks up in the ceiling and he just sees a lot of things happening to him. So there were cases like that. So we follow up with those who were able to keep in touch with us, and I think that's the situation about both Ukraine and Sudan.
All right, we're totally out of time. We're just totally out of time. If you
everybody was brought back.
Okay. John, can you hear me, madam? Just we're totally out of time. Almost. Thank you for coming back. Maybe 30 seconds. Have you maybe reached out or say hello or congratulations to Kemi Badenoch, who is now the Tory leader in the Conservative Party of the UK, because she's part of your diaspora community, I guess?
You see, it depends. If she identifies, you see, as the Nigerianness in her, you know. We've reached out to her once or twice without any response. So we don't force people to accept to being Nigerian. So if you appreciate the Nigerianness in you and you want to work with us, we're open to everybody, but we cannot force you to appreciate the Nigerianness in you. You remember the Miss Universe Nigeria in South Africa? She until she got into a little problem with South Africa, and she identified with Nigeria, came to Nigeria, we hosted her, received her warmly. Right. Listen, as long as that blood in you, you're Nigerian. So it's that to Kemi to decide whether she appreciates the Nigerianness in her, whether she wants to work with Nigeria, but we'll be glad to, but we cannot force anybody. There are some who will tell you that, I don't like that, your country. We can't force them, but we work with thousands and millions of Nigerians who are proud to be Nigerian despite the challenges. And we believe that no matter what, we are simply the best in the world. And despite our challenges, we'll get to where we truly belong, the top of the mountain.
Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, the chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, thank you so much for your time. We need to bring you back because there's a lot we have to talk about. We just had to walk through just highlights today because of the shortness of time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll meet Promise Francis, who is a fashion designer. He brings us up to speed as to the gains and pains of his journey as a designer. Join us again.